The 2002 Western Conference Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings stands as one of the most dramatic and controversial series in NBA playoff history. For a brief moment, it felt as though a dynasty might be toppled by a hungry, small-market challenger, only for disputed officiating, late-game heroics, and simmering rivalries to combine into a perfect storm of drama. The Lakers, gunning for their third straight championship under the unstoppable duo of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, represented the established superpower. The Kings, showcasing a beautiful brand of passing and shooting led by Chris Webber and Peja Stojakovic, emerged as a legitimate threat to break LA's reign. Over 7 intense games, each more nail-biting than the last, fans witnessed an epic clash overshadowed by allegations of biased refereeing, culminating in a legacy still debated decades later. To appreciate the magnitude of this showdown, it helps to revisit the context. By 2002, the Lakers were riding high on the momentum of back-to-back titles in 2000-2001. Shaquille O'Neal was in his prime, an unstoppable force in the paint capable of scoring at will against nearly any defensive scheme. Meanwhile, Kobe Bryant was blossoming into one of the league's premier scorers, forging a potent inside-out combination that often left opponents helpless. Head coach Phil Jackson, a master of controlling egos and employing the triangle offense, brought stability and a championship pedigree. Critics, however, pointed out that the roster lacked depth outside the superstars, meaning that if any cracks appeared, a well-rounded opponent could exploit them. Enter the Sacramento Kings, a squad that had steadily improved under head coach Rick Adelman's fluid offensive system. With Chris Webber, a versatile power forward who excelled in passing and mid-range shooting, and Vlade Divac, a center known for his finesse and on-court intelligence, the Kings played a style that thrilled fans and confounded defenses. On the wings, sharpshooters Peja Stojakovic and Doug Christie provided spacing, while Mike Bibby, acquired the previous offseason, gave Sacramento a fearless clutch scorer. Beyond the big names, the Kings boasted a deep bench that kept the pace high, always looking for the extra pass. They finished the regular season with the best record in the league, generating talk that this might be their year to dethrone the Lakers. When the postseason arrived, both teams navigated the first 2 rounds, setting the stage for a high-stakes confrontation in the conference finals. In many ways, it felt like a battle of styles, Hollywood glamour versus small-market grit, power versus finesse, an unstoppable duo versus a well-rounded ensemble. The energy around the Kings was electric. Arco Arena, later renamed Power Balance Pavilion, became a sea of roaring fans in purple, desperate to see their team advance to the NBA Finals for the first time. Los Angeles, though equally confident, faced more pressure than ever to extend its dynasty. The series opened with Sacramento landing the first punch. Utilizing their passing, shooting, and home court momentum, the Kings outplayed the Lakers in early contests, showing that the defending champions were vulnerable. Chris Webber orchestrated the offense from the high post, drawing Shaq and the Laker bigs away from the basket. Peja Stojakovic knocked down jumpers, and Mike Bibby provided a calm, fearless presence in late-game situations. The Kings seized a 2-1 series lead, boosting the belief that they could indeed unseat the champs. But as expected, the Lakers fought back. Shaq dominated inside whenever Sacramento didn't double or triple team him. Kobe delivered clutch scoring bursts, finding seams in the Kings' defense and relishing the challenge of quieting the noisy Sacramento crowd. With the series tied at 2-2, Game 5 in Sacramento produced one of the most memorable finishes in playoff lore. Robert Horry's buzzer-beating three-pointer in Game 4 is often recalled as a momentum shifter, but in truth, it was the Kings who maintained poise, eventually snagging a 3-2 lead with a narrow victory on their home floor. That outcome put Los Angeles on the brink of elimination. Yet overshadowing any single buzzer beater was the storm that brewed over officiating calls. At the heart of the controversy lay Game 6, held in Los Angeles. Many fans to this day argue it was one of the most lopsided officiated games in playoff memory. The Lakers shot 27 free throws in the fourth quarter alone, finishing the night with 40 total free throw attempts to the Kings' 25. A number of whistles on the Kings' big men, from questionable contact on Shaq to ticky-tack fouls on plays that had appeared incidental, fueled suspicions that the referees were helping force a 7th game. Sacramento, for its part, saw multiple possessions disrupted by fouls that fans and analysts alike called dubious, awarding the Lakers enough points at the line to fend off a potential Kings upset. The final minutes were especially chaotic, as Sacramento's offense stuttered under the tension, and LA capitalized on nearly every whistle. The outcry spilled onto sports talk shows, newspaper columns, and, years later, into the confessions of disgraced referee Tim Donaghy, who alleged in 2008 that Game 6 had been manipulated to extend the series. While Donaghy's credibility was questioned, he had his own legal troubles. His claims reignited debates about that pivotal night. The NBA and Commissioner David Stern vigorously denied any rigging, insisting the officiating in question was merely a product of human error under intense pressure. Nonetheless, many fans, especially those in Sacramento, feel the officiating made an immense difference, robbing the Kings of their best chance to knock off the Lakers and perhaps win the championship. That led to Game 7, back in Arco Arena, a tension-soaked contest that remains seared into the memories of Kings supporters. Despite leading much of the series and arguably outplaying the Lakers in stretches, Sacramento couldn't capitalize down the stretch. Shaq and Kobe combined for 65 points, while the Kings went cold in crucial moments, most painfully from the free throw line. Mike Bibby, the hero of earlier games, kept them close, but in overtime, the defending champion Lakers prevailed 112-106. With the victory, Los Angeles advanced to its third consecutive NBA Finals, ultimately winning a third straight ring. Meanwhile, Sacramento was left devastated, convinced that they had outperformed the Lakers overall, but undone by a flurry of questionable calls and missed opportunities in those final two games. In the immediate aftermath, the Kings struggled to replicate such a deep postseason run. Injuries, trades, and front office decisions dismantled the greatest show on court that had electrified fans. The Lakers, although triumphant, faced their own internal tensions, and their run of dominance halted in 2003. But the 2002 Western Conference Finals lingered in the league's collective memory, discussed whenever officiating controversies surfaced in subsequent seasons. Rival fans teased the Lakers about the refs, while LA supporters pointed to the results on the scoreboard and dismissed conspiratorial talk as sour grapes. The question of whether officials favored big-market teams for TV ratings or storyline purposes became a recurring refrain, echoing whenever a close game featured questionable calls. Years later, the script of that series remains potent. Many analysts argue it showcased one of the finest conference finals matchups in NBA history, a near-peak version of Shaq and Kobe battling an unselfish, high-octane Kings squad. The artistry displayed by Webber's passing, Bibby's clutch perimeter game, and Page's marksmanship captured the imagination of neutral fans. The tension, from buzzer beaters to furious comebacks, made for exhilarating television. Yet its controversial end overshadowed any notion of a perfect series, and it remains a symbol of how officiating, real or perceived, can color fans' entire recollection of a matchup. Today, Sacramento's fan base still reflects on 2002 with both pride and heartbreak. Key players have spoken out over the years, some claiming they got a raw deal, others more stoic about the breaks of playoff basketball. The league, meanwhile, has tinkered with referee evaluation, expanded replay review, and aimed to improve transparency. But conspiracy theories seldom vanish entirely in the internet age. Even new generations of fans watch highlights from Game 6 and debate questionable foul calls, stoking the flames of a rivalry that never quite died. In a broader sense, the 2002 Lakers vs. Kings showdown illustrates the razor-thin margin between triumph and tragedy in the NBA's postseason crucible. The Kings had every reason to believe they were the better team, featuring depth, chemistry, and momentum. The Lakers possessed star power, championship poise, and two unstoppable superstars. With so much on the line, a few calls, a couple missed free throws, and a handful of strategic decisions proved decisive. And while Los Angeles walked away with another ring that season, the whiff of controversy ensured that a portion of the basketball world would forever question just how fairly that victory had been secured. In the end, the 2002 Western Conference Finals, Lakers vs. Kings, endures as both a cautionary tale about officiating's influence on perception and a thrilling exhibit of two elite rosters dueling at the highest level. For fans who lived through it, those dramatic nights still evoke strong emotion, admiration for the talent on display, exasperation at the controversy, and nostalgia for the era of unstoppable Shaq and the joyful passing Kings. And for today's viewers catching old footage, it stands as a reminder of why professional basketball can be simultaneously exhilarating and maddening, shaped by each bounce of the ball, every whistle's shrill note, and the fragile nature of who ends up hoisting the trophy.